What's up, guys? Classy Metal here. I've got a collection update video for you guys today, probably about 10 CDs or so. Before I get into that, I want to remind you all that I have two giveaways going for a couple more days. I have a vinyl LP giveaway going for Black Mare's Death Magic Mother, and then I have a 5 CD giveaway going. It's awesome assorted death metal titles going on that. I'll probably throw some extras and stuff in with whoever wins those in your package. You'll probably get a couple little extras and stuff like that. Kind of my way to give back to you guys, give something back. And we're going through everybody I think is going through just some crappy times right now. So hopefully that will kind of lift some people up. As I said, I've got a stack of stuff that I'm going to show today. Most of it is, well, I guess it's a mix of newer and older stuff. More mainstream stuff than I usually show. I know I tend to show a lot of stuff that's pretty underground on this channel quite often. That won't be the case today. There's a bit more mainstream type stuff, some stuff that you probably all already heard. There's some older stuff in this. I know some of you have probably heard the story before. Some of you may have not. That I had a CD binder back in the day, and it feels like yesterday to me, but some of you, this probably happened before you were even born. But I had a CD binder. It had probably somewhere between 200, 250 CDs inside that binder, and it was stolen out of my car. That was roughly 20 years ago. So, as I said, some of you may not even have been born. Some of that stuff felt irreplaceable. Some of the stuff I've never replaced. Some of the stuff I'm just now replacing in my collection. Kind of left a kind of a salty spot there for a while. I almost got out of collecting completely back then. And I kind of did. I didn't buy any CDs for quite some time after that happened. The first CD I'm going to show, I'm glad to finally have back in the collection. It is a classic album. I'm kind of ashamed of myself for waiting this long to add it back into the collection. I'm talking about Obituary with Cause of Death. Probably the strongest Obituary album that they have. This is a remaster. I got this in a lot on eBay, and I didn't want any of the other CDs that were in this lot. I already owned 2 of the albums that were in it. There was 5 CDs, and it was cheaper to buy that lot than to buy the CD by itself. So I just went ahead and got it just for this. This is the 97 reissue, kind of remaster. It's got 2 bonus tracks on this. No, 3 demo tracks added to this. The one that was stolen from me several years ago was the actual first press, but I'm just glad to have this in the collection again. It's something that I've been meaning. I listened to it online and that type of stuff, and I don't know why it took me so long to grab another copy of this, but glad that I have it in there now. I will probably throw this in after I get done recording. It just came in today. It is, I don't know if you can make that out, but that is the gold disc reissue on that. So definitely stoked to have that back in the collection. Kind of ashamed of myself for not having repurchased that. It taken this long to get it back in the collection. Next up, we have some Napalm Death with Words from the Exit Wound. Let me try that one more time. Words from the Exit Wound. Classic stuff. Classic grindcore, death metal-y grindcore type stuff. This was released on Earache Records. Doesn't have the date on this. I know it's been out 1998. So this is another one of those. As I said, there's going to be quite a bit of classic stuff in this. Lately, I've been kind of getting back into some of this older stuff that I just haven't listened to in a long time. So definitely stoked. Been slowly chipping away at my Napalm Death collection. This one does have a hole punch up there in the barcode. Not too upset about that. I really don't mind. I'm just glad to have a physical copy of that in the collection. Next up was one that had been on my want list on Discogs for a little while. I'm glad I could finally scratch this one off. This is Vader with the Empire. I think this came out in 2016. Pretty solid stuff. I think that I liked their stuff last year a little bit better. This had a bit of a kind of groovy vibe going on with this. There were a couple really strong tracks. I think Iron Rain was one that I found myself just kind of definitely got the head nodding and stuff with it. Pretty good stuff. I mean, Vader is I mean, legends in the kind of black and death metal scene. There are moments on this release that I felt like they out behemoth, if that makes any sense whatsoever. There was almost some behemoth type stuff going on, but I like the Vader take on it a little bit better. So pretty good stuff. Glad to have that in the collection now. The next one's kind of funny. When I bought this, it wasn't what I thought I bought. This is Carcass with Surgical Remission Surplus Steel EP. I thought I was buying Surgical Steel, the actual album, but this is just the little bonus, I think 5-track EP. I hadn't even listened to this yet. Once I realized that I purchased the EP instead of the actual album, I didn't even give it a spin yet. I've heard mixed reviews on the actual this little EP, so yeah, I still need Surgical Steel in the collection as well. Next up is another one that's been on my Discogs want list for entirely too long. I had no reason whatsoever for taking this long to pick it up. Other things got in the way and I picked other stuff up instead. But this is Arsis with A Celebration of Guilt. Solid stuff. Love Arsis. Glad to have this. This is the slipcase. Glad to have this in the collection now. Finally getting it marked off that want list. It seems like lately I have been picking up more older stuff. I say older stuff. The Vader was 2016, but just stuff that's been just sitting on my want list and that type of stuff for too long. Instead of picking up some newer releases, I'm kind of picking up some stuff that I feel like I've missed along the way and stuff that I've just been really, really wanting to put in the collection. And I'm getting more, I think, personal gratification out of that lately than I am from newer releases. So definitely stoked to have that in the collection now. Next up, we have Goatwhore with Carving Out the Eyes of God. Good Easter album. Been slowly chipping away at adding more Goatwhore stuff into the collection as well. Fantastic band. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get some of this stuff. So stoked to have that in there now. Next up, we have a band that unfortunately I did not get to go see with everything that's going on, shows being canceled, that type of stuff. No one's getting to go to shows. This is one that I was looking forward to, didn't make it. This is Today's the Day with Pain is a Warning. Sorry. Eyes of God is probably... In the Eyes of God, I think is the name of it. It's probably my favorite Today is the Day album. I really was looking forward to going and seeing them when they came to Memphis, but unfortunately just didn't pan out. Maybe someday I'll get to see them. It's a band that I've been following for years and years and years now, so glad to have that in the collection now as well. Next up, I have some Deathcore. So I'm going to sit back. I'm trying to give some of you time to just go ahead and hit the down vote, the dislike button, just because I mentioned Deathcore. But hopefully you got that out of your system now. We have Carnifex with World War X. I love Carnifex. They're one of those. I don't have a ton of Deathcore in the collection. I sold off a good chunk of Deathcore. I still have some, but this is one of those bands that's always been kind of dear to me. One of those bands that I probably keep on supporting. They've kind of branched into the realms of black and deathcore now. I know some of you feel that that's just absolute heresy. You probably hate me for owning something like that, but I don't care. I listen to what I like. Love this album. I like this album a lot more than I expected to like this album. It's probably ranks up there with Hell Chose Me as one of my favorite 2 Carnifex releases. It is pretty heavy. I mean, it's just heavy blackened stuff, fantastic stuff. Definitely check that out. Give that a shot if you haven't done so. I know some of you are just completely anti-deathcore, but I think you might dig this, so check that out if you have not done so. Next up, we have some thrash metal straight out of 1998. This is another that was I distinctly remember being in that binder. Glad I have this back in the collection. At the time, I didn't think it was something that was going to be that memorable, but within the past, I'd say last couple months, it's something that I just kind of had an itch to go back and listen to, and I finally just went ahead and pulled the trigger. I got it super cheap. This is Am I Blood with Agitation. I believe this band is out of Finland. Just some fantastic old school. It was like the new wave of thrash now it's old, but around 98 there was like this new sound of thrash coming out, 98 into 2000. This kind of fit into that mold back then. Now it's the sound can seem a little dated to some. It still has the nuclear blast little giveaway entry survey from way back that they used to put in the albums. I thought that was kind of neat that was still intact and in there. I think I'm just going to keep it, the little survey sheet, in with the album just for nostalgia's sake, because I haven't even seen one of those in probably about 20 years, at least 15 years. So, but yeah, there's Am I Blood with Agitation's really solid stuff there. Next up, we have Amorphis with Under the Red Cloud. Haven't listened to this one yet. I've had it for a little bit, but I've been getting so much stuff in the mail, I haven't had the chance to break this one out. I've heard some pretty good stuff about this particular release, but I just haven't had the time to give it a listen yet. So I love just about everything Amorphis has done. I love all the different eras, I would say, of their material. They have some stuff that sounds completely and distinctively different, but I find all of it enjoyable in one way or the other, so I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this. Just one of those bands that kind of transcends genres at times. But yeah, here we got Amorphis with Under the Red Cloud, so definitely looking forward to checking that one out. Next up will probably be the only Meshuggah album that I ever owned. This is another that was in that binder. I don't know, I guess I just had a bit of a nostalgia feel for stuff that I'd lost for 20 years ago. I don't know what just sparked within me wanting to pick some of this stuff up again. But as I said, this is probably the only Meshuggah album that I will ever own. It's the only one that I really just cared for. It was the first one that I heard from them, and this is Chaosphere. They're just insane, thrashy stuff. This kind of blends into the area of death metal for me. I know that sounds ridiculous to some people, just because, especially with some of the latter stuff from Meshuggah, you wouldn't associate them with a death metal sound whatsoever. This one sounds different. It sounds a bit different than some of their other material. I think that's why I like this one so much. And for me, it has little tinges of death metal sprinkled within this. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is what it is. Chaosphere from Meshuggah. Pretty good stuff there. Then last but not least, we got some modern stuff for a change. This, I didn't know this was going to be autographed when I ordered this. I got this off of some eBay seller. It's one of the bigger, I don't know if it was Declutter or Rare Waves. It's one of the eBay sellers that sells and buys tons of CDs that's still active on eBay. Didn't know it was autographed when I ordered it. Came in that way, kind of a nice surprise. But we have Battlecross with Rise to Power. And as I said, as you can see, it's kind of signed up there on front. Pretty good stuff. Not my favorite Battlecross album. I actually had not heard this until I ordered the CD, but I do enjoy it. I find it somewhat enjoyable. I will return to it, and I was pretty stoked to see that it was actually autographed. So I've got some other stuff to show, but I'm already 13 minutes in, and I feel like I didn't do some of these albums justice because I just kind of showed them and did that. Oftentimes I like to at least describe the music a little bit, that type of stuff. I mean, that's what this channel is really and truly about, but just don't want to overwhelm you with stuff. I will link all of those up in the description, list them in order so you know what I showed. You can look some stuff up. I know you've probably already heard everything that I showed, but just in case you hadn't, that way you can look it up and kind of check it out for yourself. Once again, don't forget to get in on those giveaways. I'm keeping them open to the 15th. Tomorrow's kind of a rough day for me and my family. It's kind of the anniversary of my father's passing. I know some of you mourn Peter Steele's passing on the 14th as well, but probably won't have anything out. Probably be kind of radio silent tomorrow, but I will close the giveaways on the 15th. I will put up a video on the 16th where I actually pick the winners. So that's all I've got for today. Stay classy, stay metal. I will see you all very soon. I promise.